Tomorrow, in a courtroom in California, a public official is going to answer charges that he fabricated an extraordinary military record. Veterans and a lot of other people are angry at what they see as a theft of honor. ABC's Brian Rooney confronted the man about his claims.
I'm a retired Marine of 25 years. I just retired the year 2001. Back in 1987, I was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, but I got wounded many times. At the same time, I'm still around.
You don't have the Medal of Honor, and you claim that you do.
It's not that. They got it all miswritten.
Do you have the Medal of Honor?
No, I don't.
Why did you claim that you do?
When I explain myself incorrectly.
And there's another way we can honor those who serve. It may no longer be a crime for con artists to pass themselves off as heroes, but one thing is certain, it is contemptible. So this week, we will launch a new website, a living memorial, so the American people can see who's been awarded our nation's highest honors, because no American hero should ever have their valor stolen.
The Stolen Valor Act of 2005 was a bill sponsored by Congressman Kent Conrad that would ultimately be signed into law by President Bush in 2006. The bill's goal was to combat the increasing concerns of individuals that would falsely claim military service in order to receive societal or economic benefits. However, 6 years after the law went into effect, a corrupt politician's case would ultimately have the law deemed unconstitutional by the Supreme Court. This is the story of Xavier Alverez. Born in 1958, Xavier Alverez would go on to live an extraordinary life. He would enlist in the Marines and serve 25 years. During his career, he served as a helicopter pilot and was shot 16 times in combat and awarded the Medal of Honor for his bravery while serving in Vietnam. He would also save an American ambassador during the Iranian hostage crisis. After his military service, Xavier would play for the Detroit Red Wings hockey team, would work as a police officer and an engineer after receiving a degree from Cal Poly Pomona. But he wouldn't stop there. Xavier would ultimately run and win a seat as the director of the Three Valleys Municipal Water Board in 2007 that services all the cities around Pomona, California. During his introduction speech, he would share his military experiences.
I'm a retired Marine of 25 years. I just retired the year 2001. Back in 1987, I was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, but I got wounded many times. At the same time, I'm still around.
Well, less than a year later, Xavier would be arrested for stolen valor charges and fraud. Xavier never earned the Medal of Honor. As a matter of fact, he never even served in the military. With him saying that he retired in 2001 after serving 25 years, he would have enlisted in 1976 or the very tail end of 1975. This makes it incredibly unlikely he would have had any opportunity to deploy to Vietnam since the war officially ended in 1973 and there were just a handful of troops that stayed up until 1975. He would have had months of training to complete after his enlistment before he would have gone overseas, adding to the inconsistencies in his timeline. Of course, there is no record of him earning the Medal of Honor either. While aside from his fabricated military service, there is no record of him being a police officer, playing for the Detroit Red Wings, or earning a degree in engineering from California State University, Pomona. His first documented stolen valor claim comes when he was running for mayor of Pomona in 2002. He would claim that he was shot 16 times while serving in a combat zone.
Alvarez was also recorded claiming the Medal of Honor 6 years ago while running for mayor of Pomona.
I didn't get shot 16 times in my whole entire career in the military. See how my flag getting burned? No, I get real sensitive about stuff.
Thankfully, he didn't win the race. After he became the director of the water board in July of 2007, people began to dig into his claims of valor. One of the pieces that brought down Alvarez is that he claimed to be an American Legion member on his bio for the water board. Well, an Army veteran from Banning, California would notify the water board that he was not a member and it needed to be taken down. Of course, Alvarez would have an excuse for the quote-unquote misunderstanding and state he had an honorary membership in the group for his volunteer work as a youth at the Disabled Veterans Hospital in Napa County. Thankfully, this picture survived from his bio. Right off the bat, he's wearing an Army uniform, not a Marine uniform. Aside from wearing a combat infantryman's badge, airborne wings, and a Special Forces tab and crest, he has a chest full of ribbons. On the top, we see that he's claiming the Distinguished Service Cross and a Silver Star, two of the nation's highest honors. Xavier would be charged with stolen valor on September 26, 2007. During the court proceedings, his lawyer would make the case that Xavier was protected under the First Amendment and that his military claims had no impact on him winning office. Since Xavier won by only 50 votes, the The thought that his military claims didn't have an impact on the election is a stretch. However, the First Amendment argument would be the one that would turn the tides. The Central District Court would reject his claim. Xavier would plead guilty under the condition that he could appeal the court's decision. His sentence was 400 hours of community service and a $5,000 fine. Xavier had an interesting defense for the Stolen Valor claims.
You don't have the Medal of Honor, and you claim that you do.
It's not that. They got it all miswritten.
Do you have the Medal of Honor?
No, I don't.
Why did you claim that you do?
When I explained myself incorrectly. People took it out of context.
But this ruling would be appealed and sent to the Ninth Circuit Appeals Court of San Francisco, where it would be overturned in a 2-1 ruling. It would be a result of judges citing that the Stolen Valor Act of 2005 was unconstitutional. The prosecutors would appeal this ruling, sending the case to the highest level of law, the Supreme Court of the United States. The arguments from both sides were made starting February 22, 2012. Arguments would ultimately conclude June 27, 2012. 24 hours later, the justices of the Supreme Court would rule in a 6-3 decision that the Stolen Valor Act of 2005 was unconstitutional. There were different arguments made by the justices for the decision. Regardless, it eliminated the charges for Xavier Alverez. You would imagine that Xavier would have just taken the community service and the fine for committing such a disrespectful crime and let it be slowly forgotten. But since he was so adamant he wasn't in the wrong, he will now forever be tied to the Stolen Valor case that has reshaped the legal concept of lying about military valor. While Xavier's actions caused subsequent investigations into his past, it was discovered that he also forged paperwork to get his girlfriend benefits through the city, along with other minor crimes. He would be charged with misuse of public funds, insurance fraud, and grand theft, and be sentenced to serve 5 years in Calipatria State Prison. After the Supreme Court's decision, President Obama would take action. He would direct the government to create valor.defense.gov. This site records service members who are awarded the Medal of Honor, Service Crosses, or Silver Star.
It may no longer be a crime for con artists to pass themselves off as heroes, but one thing is certain, it is contemptible. So this week, we will launch a new website, a living memorial, so the American people can see who's been awarded our nation's highest honors, because no American hero should ever have their valor stolen.
The intent is to enable a central database for military members that receive the nation's highest valor awards to be documented since 2001. So if someone claims that they are a recipient of one of these awards from Iraq or Afghanistan, they can easily be proven or disproven. Less than a year later, the Stolen Valor Act of 2013 would be signed into law. This version defines stolen valor as a person who fraudulently claims valor awards, combat awards, or the Purple Heart in order to receive tangible benefit. The punishments under this law are fines and imprisonment up to a year. With the changes in the verbiage, the new law works with the First Amendment, since an individual has to receive some type of economic benefit and not just say that they serve to be convicted. Researching this case was very interesting for me. There's nothing more important than our First Amendment right, but we don't apply it consistently, and there's so many nuances to think of from a philosophical level. If you lie in court, lie to a police officer, lie for a credit application, there's so many things you could lie about that aren't constitutionally protected. So it's strange when you think of it from the regard of if someone's lying about military service, especially to a young impressionable kid, that could change their life forever. It's hard to decide where to draw a line, but I'm glad Xavier got some justice. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you want to see more content, please subscribe. Don't forget to hit the like button. And if you have any suggestions for me research, please send me a message on Instagram. Remember, take care of yourself, take care of each other. Have a good day.